Right, so bar chords, day tripper, and so forth. The first thing I was just saying is think about some songs you would like to play on the guitar. You can totally just be like Stones, Beatles, but like, what is some shit that sounds cool to you? Bring in like 5 songs, and we'll look them up on YouTube or whatever. Guarantee one of them will turn out to be playable for your skill level. Or a good approach is pick a whole album you like. It can be anything. It doesn't matter if it's classic rock or Metallica or hard stuff, whatever. Just kind of, a whole album you like, you cruise through, we'll find something that's at your skill level. It can be kind of, but it's like then the question comes up, I don't know what's hard versus easy. Sometimes stuff that's fast is actually easy because it's just going like, or something like it's like an easy hand movement, but it sounds wicked hard, and something that seems like it'd be easy is hard because there's some crazy like whack chord in it. So just take a shot. All this classic rock stuff. So I can just keep giving you songs, but I think that'll be fun for you to think about why did I start playing guitar? What is some shit that sounded cool to me ever? And it can be anything from anything in the history of guitar playing. Alright, so like 120, this is mainly a day tripper video, but separate video about bar chords. First thing you're going to do is you're going to give yourself your geography test. We're adding some landmarks. Let's just put F over here in parentheses, like E, F, that's F. But the part we're mostly focused, and you'll kind of like accidentally memorize that one, or one tends to. So at the 3rd fret, we've got G and C, or C and G, which makes sense because like this is C, this is G. So if you can make yourself pause the video and instead of going G C, go C G. So you're like tricking yourself already into thinking about it. So that's section 1. 2 dots. This is the country guitar. This one's called G. This one's called C. We also talked about actually memorizing the names of your open strings out of order. Roll a die. Second string comes 2, you have to say B. And the whole concept is this randomized to memorize thing, where we don't set up some process to figure it out, but it just goes, this one's the B string. So no different than meeting 6 people and remembering their names. But actually knowing the names of the open strings is not as important as what we're discussing right now, in terms of like what actually comes up in guitar playing. So yeah, G and C and G. At the 5th fret, we've got A and D, and that's the one we're having the brain fart around during the lesson. D and A and D. So please pause the video and give yourself a geography test. If you need to, you can make fucking, like, I know it's like I shouldn't have to do this, but you could like just tear up 4 pieces of paper, just like C, G, A, D, rough shuffle them up, flip them shits over. Some sort of randomization process, and anything but coming in next time and I'm like, where's D? And you go, C, G, A, it's this one. So that's the whole deal, is it's just, this is, the geography test analogy, where it's just like, it's not a deductive reasoning problem, it's just, this is the continent guitar. This is the province of the 3rd fret, where we have the city C and the city G, and we're not thinking deep about that. So stop and give yourself that geography test until you start getting 100. Even with all of the brain fart stuff that happened during the lesson, it actually took you 3 minutes and change to start getting 100 on it every time. So food for thought. It's pretty easy to memorize note names, and this is representative of our whole approach to stuff, where we're breaking it into small enough sections that you can form a long-term memory of it. So here we're seeing that pop up, and you can apply this to any kind of memorization concept, but we'll just stick with guitar. And then we threw in that at the 7th fret, there's B and E, E and B. So like the first chord in here, I really want to do the wrong starting pattern. That's an E power chord. That's E. So when you start getting 100 on these 4 dots geography test, add B and E, and if you don't get to that, that's cool, but really it's going to be pretty easy. It's nominal work if you do it in the right order, or it's a real pain in the ass. So you're psyched that you did this with me, not someone else, or you'd find yourself going G, C, A, okay, I'm going to know this is B because this was A, and B comes after A, when you could really just be like, that's B. Awesome. So at 5 minutes in, we're starting to talk about bar chords. I think quick note about that. So landmarks is like the first 5 minutes, and then up to bar chords. So awesome. When we're playing these bar chords, our common bar chords, 95% of the time, we're playing E shapes or A shapes. And let's focus on the E shapes first, which are more easily pictured. So we've got E major and E minor. So theoretically, let's do that like you don't have a first finger. And I think you were able to just move it and picture it, but that's when you're going to be playing it up the neck. It won't be the same fingers. So you could like go, I don't have a first finger, and then move that motherfucker. So this is G, the first note that we learned the name of, or F, either of those. And then you're a human capo. Like we talked about, your thumb's going to be in classical position. You're going to want to fret, including on this part of your finger, your first knuckle, which is going to be up higher than what's intuitive. You can even have your finger sticking up really high, and it'll feel weird, but you'll succeed. You were getting these pretty good during the lesson, though. So that's G right here. This is G major, or G. I'm making the major E major shape. And if I want to make that into G minor, boom, E minor shape. And G major, there's a lot of ways to do it. G minor, you might want to just memorize like it's a new chord, because that's G minor. There's no first position way to do it. First position is like when there's open strings and shit. Cool. So yeah, there we are. E-shaped chords. G sharp. G sharp minor. So yeah, you're a human capo and you're making an E major or an E minor shape. Awesome. So just stop and fuck around with that some. And then let's pretend now that our instrument doesn't have a 6th string, that we have this like 5-string instrument, like when I said during the lesson, kind of like when we were playing C. Oh, and stop with that this-that shit with C. You can trick yourself by doing it that way. If you can, it's pretty, those are the types of things we really want to avoid, the not this but this. That said, when you actually encounter that in a song where you have to get to it quickly, it'll take care of that organically. While we're at it, here's how a C chord sounds. Here's the note C. Now we're talking about A-shaped chords, which is just 5 strings. So here's how A looks, A major, and this is the hardest one. So A minor looks like that, and that's a new chord for us. It's E, scooched down. So it's major up here, E major, but then when you scoot it down, the chord A minor. So there's our only new first position chord is A minor, and you already knew the shape. And I know at this point it's like overload, but you do remember all this stuff. You'd be cool when you go back to do this later. So A minor looks like that, you know, and let's say we did that with the wrong finger, scooted it around. Right now this is the chord C minor, and I'm making an A minor shape in front of it. And then the most difficult of all 4 of these shapes, we had E and E minor, and now this A minor shape is the major A chord. A lot of people are like, but wouldn't I just do it this way? You could, but that would only work for just strumming it. In the long run, we're going to want to be able to do things with our pinky and middle finger around it. So it's this flop your ring finger down, bent the wrong way, which it's good you have the mobility to do that. Some people are just like, I can't do that at first. The only thing that was tripping you out was being a little too far out in front like that, trying to get leverage, and the way we tricked you into doing it was just making the shape without pushing down and then pushing down. So that's your best bet. And again, this is shit we're doing in classical thumb position. We don't want to be doing any of this create distance stuff or thumb cranking up higher. When do we play classical position? When we're doing reachy stuff or playing bar chords up the next stuff. So yeah, there we go. There's C and C minor. You know, and again, we're picturing like there's no 6th string on our instrument right now. So cool. And like C sharp minor sounds like a bunch of stuff, but it's like C sharp. I make my minor shape. This is D then, major D minor. Awesome. So just go back now in your practice and look back over those 4 shapes and just move around some bar chords. Cross-reference that with the landmark notes that we learned. Just be like, okay, here is an A. Or A is bad because it's confusing. But yeah, here's a G, G major, G minor. Here's a C, C major, C sharp, go nuts. Doing it at the 5th fret, doing E-shaped A chords can generate some brain farts because A-shaped bar chords are our 5-string ones. But this is A here, so I'm playing the chord A right now using an E shape. That doesn't really matter that much that I talk about it, but just whatever. So there you go. Just try playing these shapes, move them around. Don't worry too much about getting this one. And when you are playing it, we're going for note, 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 not. You pulled straight down, so you got the wrong note, and not worrying about getting this to ring out successfully yet. That'll be the type of thing that you just wake up one day able to do. So yeah, just 4 notes, bing, bing, bing. Great. So that's the chord B, like A, B. Awesome. So let's see here. Great. So 11 minutes in, we moved away from bar chords and started talking about Day Tripper. But go ahead and take forever working through what we just did. The good news is that what we really just said is we learned 4 note names, we learned 4 shapes that we already knew, except for A minor, and then you just move those shits around. We've said that in a bunch of different ways, but that's pretty much the entirety of what we just covered. When you get home with unlimited time and not having just focused for an entire hour, it's not going to seem like a confusing concept in your psyches, because really right now, you can already play every chord anywhere. It might take you like 10 seconds to figure out, or 4 minutes, but if I was like, play, D sharp minor, you'd be like, alright, so D sharp minor, so cool. Sharp means scoot up 1, flat means scoot back 1. And then, so let's go with our Day Tripper riff now. So yeah, we're like, 1, boom, boom, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret. At first we're going to ignore your right hand, but I want you to make a relaxed fist. When we're playing down on the low strings, kind of think about what you do when you're playing power chords as far as your hand movement and doing little strums. Anchoring is for very specific things, and right now we want to have our full range of motion. Because we want to be able to do a percussive thing in theory as well. But either way, here we are, just 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret. Day Tripper goes. And there we don't want to go. That's what we mean by no seesaw. The next 2 notes are your first finger. Your hand's really going to want to bunch up there. It's cool if it does some, you just don't want to surrender to the bunch up. So there's an open note there, which lets us get to the second part. But just stop and do that, and it's just a list of shit you don't have to play in rhythm. Just go through and be like, and don't worry about down up yet. Just do it all down or whatever's intuitive, and then now add rhythm after you get comfortable just going through it like it's a list. So we had stage 1, F rhythm, and then after that, adding rhythm. Also, we're not focused on your right hand yet, much aside from not this, but this. Cool, so there's so we just left off that. And then, even if you were sandwiched up, this is a good teaching song because the next shape we have to spread out right away. And it's a power chord shape. It's like 2, 4 right there. We just push those 2 shits down and go. And then open 1st fret. So that was like. And again, try not to sandwich up for that one, especially because it's just a single note. You don't have the bar there. So yeah. There's the second half, and I'd be psyched if you ever worked on that independently, rather than just doing the whole thing. So that makes awesome. So if you want to add the down ups that I wrote there, go for it. That would be the last thing to worry about, as long as you're doing it all right here. More importantly, moving on to the chorus, which is what brought us to this. So yeah, the way the verse goes is you do the first one twice, then it just scoots down towards the ground. It's the same exact was a new section at like 15 minutes in, which I'm gonna go through and notate this. It's all good. You know, when you're skimming through this, only use the video if you need to, as I'm going in depth about some stuff that you won't really have to think that hard about when you're doing it. Cool. So we're about to play a section that is that same exact rhythm that was tripping you out, where we're going to be going down, down, up, up, down, up. It sounds like, but we're doing it in a different song, and one where we're hitting all the strings. So yeah, learn this and then go back, try your other song. Great. So you know, the first chord in the chorus is G sharp minor. This is G sharp minor, and what I wrote on the page was E minor shape, 4th fret, and you're gonna play the rhythm 4 times there. 1, 2, I'm sorry, man. G flat minor. Excuse me. It's or I'm sorry. What is it? She was a day tripper. Yeah, I just wrote 4th fret when I should have written 2nd fret. Pardon me. So it's G flat minor. So 2nd fret 1, which was actually kind of it. Yeah, that makes sense. That's also F sharp. Great. So 4 of these. 2nd time. Down, down, up, down, 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 up. Section. Just do that. You know, our usual goal: once through well, twice through well, loop it. Awesome. And then there's one single time through this strumming pattern or some other chords. The first one in this "so long to find out but I found out" is the exact place where we learned this E-shaped chord. Like, it's like one of the notes we know is A. So I'm playing A major right there with our E shape. So E shape at the 5th fret. Then we scoot back 1 fret, A flat minor. And then we've got C sharp, which is right under it. Same fret, but the annoying chord. And then G frets back B. So that was, you can just go over the shapes if you want first. Just be like, so to find out that I found out. Just do it like a list. And don't worry about just getting that note. As long as you're on that string pushing down, we're psyched. It's just like you got 5 pounds too many on the bar. You'll wake up after a couple days and just be able to play it. So that would sound like after, you know, one-way ticket section we were just doing. There we go, and that's the reason we did this, was because it's got a little easy riff that's fun, but cheesy, but that's that same exact strumming pattern, and it's our same 4-bar chord shapes. So we were like E minor shape, E major shape, E minor shape, A shape, A shape. Awesome. So there's the whole thing. Here's one entire chorus. 2, 3, 4. It's cool if you do kind of an open strum when you change, like if you're going totally legit. That's just gonna go for everything. Great, so there it is, same strumming pattern from your however it goes song. And then when you get good at this, go back and work on that song with this strumming pattern and think about it like I'm playing the day tripper strumming pattern rather than, you know, think of it as a totally new song or whatever. The wonderful news is that all we really just did was we learned that riff, we learned 4 chord shapes, and we talked about like strumming and then flat beats back and sharp beats forward. So that's pretty much all we did today, and these are all really essential, awesome concepts that are applicable in a million situations. Already, when you've been playing power chord songs, you can be like, oh shit, that's a D power chord, you know, right here, that's D. And all of these bar chords start with that power chord. Even this one, where we're doing it with one finger. So yeah, we're like filling in the blanks. After, what do we do after that on the other strings? We do these things. All right, kick ass, man. Good stuff. So lengthy.